Jacob Allen joining us here on the Wing Nation, here from the Jackson Motorplex. Jacob, your first memories of racing. Let's go right back to the beginning. What are your first memories of racing?
I grew up living in Indianapolis, and in the summertime, that's when I'd go visit my dad, and we would, my dad owned a go-kart track, and me and Logan would get to hang out over the summertime. So we'd always go race go-karts and go to sprint car races. So that would be where it all started for me, is, racing at the go-kart track with Logan and being able to go to Lincoln, at night or whenever my dad would take us.
What do you remember, when did you realize, learn that your dad was one of the popular, iconic drivers in the sport? I mean, he's just your dad, but when did you realize that he does something pretty neat?
Well, I think that took some time, and I think that still grows even now. You hear everybody talking. You go to the racetracks as a young kid, and you're just a young kid, and that's just your dad, and he's cool because he's known as a race car driver, but you don't know how much he really is respected across the country and everything. So as time went on, and probably really until we got on the Outlaw Tour, I started to realize, how much my dad is respected, and you have to almost take a step back when you're racing with my dad, because when you're racing with your dad, it can be hard because you can argue and go back and forth. But when you sit back and you see all these guys that I respect and I look up to, and how close that they listen to my dad, I like to sit back and say, okay, well, this is my dad. This is the guy that I'm blessed to be able to go out on the road with and race with. So I don't know. It's just I still learn and think about that pretty often, that he's so respected and he's done so much for the sport, and I'm really lucky to have him as my dad. So I think it's pretty cool, and just even now, I still think about it, and that still grows to, it gives me more respect for my dad too.
When did you realize or think about that you wanted to race?
I feel like I've always wanted to race. It's just my life was a little different because I lived in Indianapolis with my mom, and, I think when it all set for me that I really wanted to race or give a good shot at racing is when I was about a sophomore in high school, because all my friends would talk about going to college and everything, and I wasn't really the best at school, and I didn't really see a future of going to college and stuff. And I knew Logan and I and my dad always got along. We were always really close, and my dad could give us a good shot at racing. And Logan had just started racing sprint cars at the time. So I told myself, well, actually, the guy who gave me my diploma, he told me, he was successful, and I played basketball with his son, and he would tell me, with one thing that made me successful is I took one thing that I thought I'd be good at, and I stuck with it, and I felt racing would be it. So I left Indiana, and it was really hard to leave my mom and everything and all my friends that I grew up with, but me and Dad have always been super tight, and I just took that opportunity. And so from that time on, from the time I was 16, I just have stuck with racing and just kind of went to see where it went, and I've enjoyed it. I love the journey, and it's been really, really cool.
Amazing. Where, when, what do you remember about your first race?
I remember my dad put me, I don't know if it was Logan's car or what it was, but it was at Lincoln, and I probably hadn't even moved to Pennsylvania at that time. And I don't know, I remember it being so overwhelming just from how to, turn the fuel setting on and just fire the motor up. And then I was probably just idling around the racetrack, really, and just cars flying by me. But that was just, I think he just let me go out for hot laps, and that was just kind of it. My first race, my dad took me to Trailways, and a guy who is with us all the time now, and a great friend of mine, his name's Jeff Spalding. Look, my dad only had one car, so Logan was racing that car. And Jeff, longtime friend of my dad and even me at this point, he had a car, and he let me drive it, and I went out to Trailways, and that was the car I ran my first, 4 or 5 races in, and I thought that was pretty cool. And Jeff's been at all my wins, and he's been a really, really good dude to me.
You roll through that in central Pennsylvania. You're racing along, and somewhere 5 years ago, 6 years ago, your dad has a vision. He has a plan. When he, whether it was in the shop working on cars, or maybe he didn't even formally announce it to you or lay it out to you, what was your thoughts when this whole "let's go run World of Outlaws"? How did that all take place? The decision and how you factored into that?
Well, I think Dad was talking to a sponsor of ours at the time, Marty Thompson, and Marty always was paying attention to things real close, and he knows how my dad runs it as a business and for money and everything. And my dad, that's how he lives. He races, and he wouldn't be able to do it back home, or the Outlaws was the only option for him to keep racing and keep making a living at racing. So I don't really remember how he came about telling me and Logan about going on the Outlaw Tour, but when he said that, I didn't really know what to think or really expect. I mean, yeah, growing up, you know what the Outlaws are. You know that that's the high level, and that's where the best race car drivers are at. But being in the reality of actually being out there with them and working on the cars and traveling up and down the road, just living the outlaw life, I had no clue what to expect or what to do or anything. I mean, I was clueless. And I don't know, I think it made me about sick to my stomach, really, like when it became a reality, just because I just didn't know what I was in for. I mean, it just stressed me out, and you have access to social media and what people write, and you just, you don't want to let my dad down or anything down, and I didn't have much racing experience, so it's kind of scary, but, we were going to go out there and give it our best shot. I mean, he wasn't going to give up on us, and we weren't going to give up on him, so, we went for it, and it was quite something.
The thing that was amazing is that everyone loves your dad, loves you boys and what you do here. But in all honesty, there was a lot of people that really questioned what he was doing with it, with you and Logan racing the cars. Did that bother you when you know that that not everyone maybe was on board or supporting what you guys were doing?
I wouldn't say it really bothered. I mean, yeah, you'd come across stuff that somebody would say, and it would get to you, but I don't know. I'm not really that kind of person. Mm-hmm. And if my dad's going to believe in me and Logan, and me and Logan believe in him, and me and Logan believe in each other and ourselves, whatever it was, I mean, we didn't have really anything. We left the road with 2 motors and a trailer that my dad raced with, and I don't know. We never would give up on each other. We've been together for so long that, we would never give up on each other. So it didn't matter what people said about us. We're there for each other, and we believe in each other. So we did what it took, and it wasn't pretty, but we made it.
Wasn't pretty. What are some of the early years, the first year or two struggles that really stand out to you that now are kind of those character building things, but at the time they had to just be just painful to go through? What are some things that stand out about those early years?
Some of the things that would stand out to me most would probably be not having much help. I mean, just grabbing people from the racetrack, not knowing if they even knew what they were doing, and me and Logan trying to maintenance cars that we didn't even know how to really maintenance, and between washing cars and maintaining and mounting tires and then physically going out and racing, that was just a lot. And you realize how much maintenance is, and it was just tough. I mean, everything was really tough. We didn't have we didn't have motors, we didn't have, help. We didn't have much. We didn't have brakes on our trailer. I mean, we went out there our first trip out to California, and there's this big hill in Utah, and my dad's hitting the brakes going down this thing, and the brake thing's beeping and beeping and beeping. I said, Dad, are we all right here? Like, are things okay? And he's like, yeah, they're fine. But I could tell on my dad's face, like, it really wasn't okay. Well, we made it down the hill, and we get to Vegas, and we're at the stoplight right before we pull into the hotel or whatever, and this line bursts, and the brakes go. We had no brakes at all, and it was just, I don't know. We just went through just so many different things. It's hard to really even remember just because it all runs together in time, but I don't know. It's just it was interesting.
How tenacious is your dad? I mean, this is quite an undertaking. How strong? Just describe the strength that your dad has had to do this.
Well, I give it up to him. I mean, the guy's 74 years old, and he deals with us kids crying and moaning about this and that, and I've never seen anybody not give up like he does. I mean, it doesn't matter, what situation is. He always looks at the positive side to everything. Just, things could be going all the wrong ways, but he'll sit down and think about how to make it better, how to, get through that problem and work to making everything better. He always has an envision of getting to the point where he wants to be. I mean, like right now things have built to what they are and they're great, but he still keeps growing. He still keeps wanting to build to keep getting better and better. And I can promise you that my dad, every day, it doesn't matter what day of the year it is, he's thinking about racing. I mean, he lives, eats, sleeps sprint car racing in general. And, I think that's very special. And that's what helps me and Logan. That's what we get to learn off of. And I think it does make an impact of his age, of him driving up and down the road. And we get to see that he has that will and that fight to keep getting bigger and bigger and wants us to keep growing and getting better. I mean, he always says he has a vision of seeing me and Logan on the front row at Knoxville. And then last year, I got to start on the Friday night. I got to start on the front row, and for a little bit there, me and Logan were running second and third to Johnson, who had won the previous nationals. And he talks about how neat that was to be able to see that, and how that dream has a reality to it.
Having someone around, in this case it's your father, but having someone around that has such a positive mental attitude, how has that impacted you as a young man? It's got to be contagious. We all have struggles. We all have personal things we go through. How has that impacted you?
It has impacted me a lot because really I'm not always. A lot of people think I am this real positive guy, and I am. I'm a pretty positive guy for sure, but, he's with me every day. So what everybody else sees, they're not with me 24/7 like my dad. And I've given up on myself and all this multiple times, telling my dad I'm going home. Like, this is so much work without the results. It's gotten not to be fun. I mean, it's been super frustrating. I mean, this is my 5th year and I haven't won an outlaw race, and that's frustrating me because I know what I've gone through. But for him to, always stay positive with me, never expects me, if I'm starting on the front row or anything, he never says, hey, I expect you to be on the podium tonight, or hey, I expect you to run the wall, or anything like that. It's just good luck, have fun, and I love you. And that's awesome. I mean, and it doesn't matter if I crash or anything. He's always positive. So not just with racing, and him to always have a positive attitude and to sit down and always make me learn how to listen and not get heated, and just to work towards making things better in tough situations. It's not just racing that's helped me with. It helps me out with life and dealing with people, and whatever situation I'm in, it really helps me. I mean, I learn a lot from that man.
A race car driver, how would you assess you have evolved as a race car driver? What kind of grade, or how would you assess you are as a race car driver now, and the progress you've made?
I feel good about it, but I'm a little disappointed in some ways, just because I started this at a young age, and I don't know if I always have taken it the right maturity towards it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a very mature sport. If you're gonna go out here and beat these guys and and contend with them, you got to be mature about it, and you have to have a strong focus and good determination. And I've had good focus and determination, but I don't know if it was the best of my ability. And I think that comes with being so young, and you're out here with these guys, and you get to see all the different stuff. There's people go out, have fun and drink, and there's all kinds of little distractions that can play a factor in not being at your best potential. And that kind of bothers me now, because now I'm starting to see it's like, all right, yeah, it's fun to go out and have fun and maybe go out and drink and do this and do that. And, that's all fun and cute and stuff. But when it comes down to what really matters is going out here and performing at your best and to win these races. And right now I feel like I've got my focus right, and I feel the best that I feel about when I go out on the track. And each night I go out, I don't want to go back to my trailer when the night's done and regret anything. And that starts at the top of the week when you go out there and you prepare your race cars and everything. And that also doesn't come down to me. It comes as a team. It comes between me and Logan and my race team. And I like to see that everybody on our team is extremely focused, and they work extremely hard. And I think when we go out there at the end of the night, there's no regrets, because we're going out there and performing at our best potential. And I like to see that in me now. And I think people have noticed that. It's just, I wish I could have the maturity I have now at 19 when I went out on the road.
So much about this sport is there's young guys that come in with a pocket full of money. There's young guys that come in, friends of yours, that land into a ride and everything like that. The one thing I've always been amazed at you is you seem perfectly comfortable and content that this hard road that you guys have taken has been not only something that you've dealt with, but you've embraced. Is there ever any frustration where you look around, or are you not that type of person?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm thankful for those guys that they have a backing with money, and I think that's great. I mean, I'm happy for those guys. That's awesome. I mean, everybody wants that. And we work hard and we don't have all the money, but we're very fortunate. I mean, we have a legend who knows motors, cars. He knows how to do this game. And there's kids out there that have great talent and don't have money, and they can't even get to this point. And that's sad, really. And I hope that those kids be able to get an opportunity like me and Logan. So I mean, everybody, it's just the way of life. It is. I mean, everybody gets, maybe that kid doesn't deserve this big dollar ride, but he gets it, and that's great. I mean, he's obviously going to go out there and perform, but none of that bothers me. I mean, this is our situation, and we work hard at it, and I hope, people with a lot of money that see our team and get to meet me and Logan and my dad and our race team, they see that, and maybe hopefully that they'll want to invest their money into our race team and see how hard we work and how far we've gone, and that would never be taken for granted. I mean, it would be very appreciated, and but if it doesn't, we're going to still continue to grind and get after it. What is
when we look at Logan came into this, he had some wins along the way when he came into it, and it was kind of like we all had him informally the lead driver here, the guy with the most experience and everything. What has Logan's success meant to you, and how has Logan helped you develop as a driver?
Logan's helped me a lot with developing as a person and a race car driver. I've known Logan my entire life. Logan works really hard, and he's got a vision, and he's got good determination, and he's got good focus, and he does extremely well. And what's really cool about Logan is he's there for me, and he wants to see me do good. He wants to see us both do good together, which is awesome. But Logan's a good dude. I mean, he is. He's a really good dude.
Be a good guy to go on the World of Outlaw tour like you guys would, right?
Yeah, I mean, he is. He is really good. He's always been good to me. So whatever I need help with or anytime I've been down, Logan says, "Hey, I know you can do it." He's like, "Just, keep your chin up." And he's good. And he understands the race cars, and he's learned to understand the race cars through my dad. So I can go to him and my dad. So to me, I got two really good coaches when it comes down to it. Logan's a good dude. I mean, he really is a good dude, and it's really neat to see a kid like that be a competitor. Me and him are going to compete against each other, but he wants us both to do good. So if I go quick time, or if I do good or have a good race, it doesn't matter if it's a B main or a heat race or whatever it is, Logan gives me a high five. He's like, "Hey, that's a great job," or "Hey, what kind of setup are you running?" And we do it for each other. Same thing with him. He goes quick time, I tell him good job, and I'm happy for him. We're happy for each other. We both want to see each other succeed and get to a very high level in this sport.
What's it like to race against him? Is it different than anybody else?
Yeah, just because I know Logan so well. It feels like just like us being little kids, when it all starts at the go-kart track. I mean, I know how he's going to race, and I can be in the stands and watch Logan race and know what's going through his mind kind of thing. So when I'm racing against him, it's no different from being a little kid. It's just at a high level, and it's really exciting. I mean, just because we're out there on the World of Outlaw tour and we're on big stages, and everybody's watching, and you got big sponsors and just the crowd around you, and just like the other night we were running second and third. That's really cool. Or at Lake Ozarks we shared the front row together. It's being proud of each other, just that we're at that stage and we've got to this point, and it's cool. I love racing against Logan.
Where do you see you guys? Where do you see the racing team? Where do you see you in say 3 years?
It's hard to say with 3 years. 3 years is a lot of time. I don't know how to really answer that. I mean, I want to see us, I just want to see us keep growing as a race team and win. I mean, obviously you'd love to see you contend for the big money races like the Kings Royal, the Nationals, and everything in a championship. But the competition's not going to go away. I mean, every year I've been out here, it hasn't got easier. It's gotten easier in other ways because we've grown to get better help, and our motor program's gotten better, and we've gotten better as drivers and understanding what this all takes. But the racing and the competition hasn't got easier. What it takes to get on in a dash at a World of Outlaw races, it's not easy. You got to work for that, and I don't see that going away. So I just want to see us keep growing, and I would like us to, get more recognized by some bigger sponsors, and it's great to get the sponsors that we have now. I mean, we didn't have a whole lot of sponsorship when we first came out, but we have gotten noticed, and we've had great sponsors. Triple X starting out giving us, the chassis, and DMI and Factory Cane shocks. Michael Newman, that's a family member of ours. We, ran Don Odd engines, but that got hard to keep up on the funds of rebuild and all those engines. So Michael has worked so hard for us, and to have him and it's great. I mean, the guys who give us our wings, just the whole deal. Anybody who helps, is on our race team, they help us tremendously in whatever way that they help us. And Logan. We have that Dryden sponsor come along, and that's pretty neat to have them and get them involved with sprint car racing. So that's cool. I just would like to see us keep growing in that way, and more money get invested into our race team. I mean, so 3 years, I don't know. We'll see where 3 years brings us.
Final question for you. If you could jump in that car with that 16-year-old leaving Indiana to go over to be with your father to race, and if you could tell young Jacob one or two lessons, what would you have told? What would you tell him?
I'd tell him that you made a good decision, and that just to keep doing what you're doing, really.